Very good afternoon, everyone. So we'll continue the class from the module 1 today. So in the previous class, we have discussed regarding the first ingredient of the concrete, that is cement, and now we'll go with the aggregates. Okay. So aggregates basically, which is going to consume the maximum volume of the concrete, right? So as we all know that concrete consisting of ingredient, cement, sand, coarse aggregate, and then water, right? So in this, you can take cement. Apart from the cement, sand as well as the coarse aggregate are considered as the aggregates. Okay. So here, these aggregates, which are basically cheaper than the cement, and then it impart the greater volume, comma stability, and then the durability to the concrete. So here, this aggregates what we'll be using in the concrete, they are cheaply available in the sense whatever the source of the extraction will be there, so that one it will be available in the easier mode, right? So you have seen so many queries and all, right? So in that query you can extract the aggregates as per your required sizes, and then else you can take the hard rock or the raw material, and then you'll crush that one to the required size as well as the shape, correct? So that time whatever the major percentage or major volume which is consumed by these aggregates, correct? So this one which is going to impart the greater volume, I mean the major portion which is covered by these aggregates, and then whatever the concrete which is going to get the strength. So the main reason to get the strength is by using these aggregates, and then the durability, that is long lasting in its lifespan, that one we can achieve by taking these aggregates in the concrete mixture. Clear? Then they give body to the concrete, and even it is going to reduce the shrinkage and it affect economy also, right? So which is, they give body to the concrete in the sense the exact shape of the concrete. However you want, you can give that as per the proportions of these aggregates. Else what it happens if you have mixed only cement as well as the water, or by taking other ingredients, so after certain days you can see the changes in its shape, correct? So like the change in its volume of the mixture, so that one it can get caused when you have not used the aggregates in that concrete part. Yeah. And then even it is going to reduces the shrinkage. So when you have used only cement and water paste, after the absorption of the water from the cement molecule, what it happens, that change in its shape which is going to occur, like which is going to shrink. Clear? I mean the shape of the concrete which is going to shrink than the original one. So better to avoid the shrinkage and all, we can use this coarse aggregates. And then since it is cheaply available, that major cost of the construction or the concrete, you can save it. Yeah. My voice is audible to everyone, right? Can somebody please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay. The aggregate which is used in primarily for the purpose of providing bulk to the concrete. Bulk in the sense the major volume of the concrete which is gained by using these aggregates. So you know the different types of aggregate, that is fine aggregate as well as the coarse aggregate. Clear? So this fine aggregate and coarse aggregate, they are differentiated with respect to the size, right? So which is less than 4.75, we can consider that one as the fine aggregate, and then the aggregates which are of size more than 4.75, which is considered as coarse aggregate. Clear? But now we are studying both the parts in one matter, right? And the major bulk means the volume which is consumed by this coarse aggregate. Because of that reason only, we need to choose it proper. And then to increase the density of the resulting mix, the aggregate is frequently used in two or more sizes. Right? Here, what you are going to see, you will go with the mixed design. Clear? So by using certain code books, proportions, right? 1:2 is to the right proportion, 1:2 is to 4. Like that, they are going to use. So in this one, which stands with the cement, two stands with fine aggregate, and four stands with coarse aggregate. Clear? So in this part, the major part of the mixture which is consumed by this coarse aggregate. Clear? So to get this proper density, I mean the density of the concrete, that is 2400 kg per meter cube. Clear? So to get this much of the density, we should use the proper proportions of the coarse aggregates. Clear? For that, we can take even in two or more sizes. So two or more sizes in the sense, one proportion you can take 20 down, and one more you can take 12.5 down. So that is depends upon the convenient availability of the material and the target mean strength what you are going to achieve. Depends upon this, you can take the different coarse aggregates in one manner, so that even the different size of the aggregates, they are going to give the better interlocking property among themselves, so that the bonding strength between the aggregates and ingredients will be more, right? And then most important function of the fine aggregate is to assist in producing the workability and uniformity in mixture. So that's nothing but what here the coarse aggregate you will be taking, which are of various sizes. Clear? And then within this, in a particular volume, you are taking coarse aggregates, and whatever the gaps between these, so it can be filled by the fine aggregates. So taking only coarse aggregate as well as the cement, that it won't give the proper bonding as well as the sufficient strength between those ingredients. Clear? So by taking this fine aggregate, which is going to avoid the number of voids or percentage of voids, or even you can call ratio of voids. Clear? That ratio of voids or gaps between the coarse aggregates, that one it can be filled by this fine aggregate. Clear? Fine aggregate is nothing but sand and other ingredients like M sand and all what we can consider. So that is going to give the proper workability. Workability in the sense this concrete can be easily mixed, easily placed, and easily it can be work with this concrete. So all the aspects of the concrete can be go in ease with the conformation, right? And even this uniformity in mixture. So uniformity in mixture in the sense once you add this fine aggregates, that concrete will be uniform in its structure. Means it includes all the ingredients in all the particular volume portion, it will be in a equally distributed, correct? So once if you have used only coarse aggregate as well as the cement, so that time the cement paste will stand at one place and the coarse aggregate will stand at one place, right? So that it will not be considered as uniformity in its nature. So once you add the fine aggregate, so togetherly it forms uniformity in its structures and gives the equal percentage of the ingredients in proper section. Yeah. And then this fine aggregate that also assists the cement paste to hold the coarse aggregate particles in suspension. So the major function of this fine aggregate, that is going to give certain strength as well as the proper bonding between these coarse aggregates. Okay. And then the functions of aggregates, especially in terms of mortar as well as the concrete. So mortar is nothing but the proper mixture of cement, sand, and then water. Then concrete is cement, sand, water plus coarse aggregate. Okay. So here in mortar only the part is coarse aggregate will not be there, but here apart from this mortar, it will be adding with coarse aggregate and then it forms concrete. Yeah. So the sand is used in the mortar and concrete for the following purpose. Why we require this sand either in mortar or in concrete. Yeah, that comes under in fine aggregate part. So bulk. So sand acts as the adulterant. Adulterant in the sense what might be the functions and the role of this sand will be less for the general purpose, right? The major thing what you can see only the coarse aggregate as well as the cement, but usage of this cement or sorry this sand also, it is most important since it is going to give the additional strength to that concrete by providing the proper bonding between the other ingredients, and it is going to reduce the voids and even the volume of mortar, which is increased by taking the medium portion proportions of this ingredient, that is 1 is to 2 is to 4, right? So 4 parts stands for coarse aggregate, 2 parts stands for fine aggregate. So here also it is going to take a certain volume, right? So for that reason it acts as a bulk, means that major volume it is again going to be distributed with fine aggregate. And then setting, so even it helps in setting of the mortar and even in the concrete. Whatever the concrete will get set and mortar will get set after a certain period of time, that is because of the addition ingredient of this fine aggregate. And even with respect to the volume, it is going to prevent the excessive shrinkage. Means whatever the change in its volume you can see in the concrete, that one it can be reduced by adding this fine aggregate. Okay, either in the mortar or even in the concrete. Okay, and then the strength. So once it filled all the voids or gaps between the concrete structures, which is going to give the proper strength. Clear? And even when the gaps will get occurs and load which is going to apply on that portion, in the sense easily it is going to break, right? So that gap, the major gaps as well as the voids, what we can call in the technical terms, that one it can be filled by this fine aggregate, so that it is matters with respect to strength also. And then surface area, when the surface area usually it is more than the coarse aggregate part, and then which is going to make a thin film on top of the coarse aggregate, and then that is going to provide the additional strength to that coarse aggregate. Then how exactly this aggregate it should be? While selection of the aggregates, what and all considerations we need to follow. The first thing is it should be chemically inert. Chemically inert in the sense the chemicals whatever which are harmful to the concrete, that one it should be free from this aggregate. Those chemicals which should not be present in this. For example, it is depends upon again the extraction. Clear? So in the quarry and all, once it is reacted with some other foreign materials like magnesia, like other than that Fe2O3 and even Na2, right? So like that, if other foreign materials if it is attached to this, which is going to damage that entire concrete, so that whatever the reactions will takes place in the concrete, that is disturbed by some other foreign chemicals, so it should be free from those chemicals. Okay, then it should be clean and coarse, and it should be free from organic matters. Basically these coarse aggregates and all, it can be extracted from the earth surfaces, right? So it should be free from the organic material like the vegetable growths and all, it will be attached to that, so that it should be clean as well as it should be coarse. Coarse in the sense the aggregates it should be in a large size, so that you can later divide that one or else crush that one as per the required size. But always we need to choose the hard rock, I mean raw materials, it should be coarse, means it should be in large size, and it should contain sharp, angular, and then durable grains. So here with respect to shape, the aggregate it should have sharp edges, so that it is helps in the better interlocking properties. And then angular, so that is going to resist the aggregate strength and it gives the clear platform to the other ingredients. And then durable grains in the sense we should ready enough to take the certain loads governed by the top structures. And then it should not contain the salts, means the aggregates which you will select, it should be free from the salt, because that is going to absorb the moisture, and then which is going to damage that entire concrete structures. So the aggregates like the river sand which will be different, and as well as the sea sand, seashore sand will be different. Always we won't prefer the seashore sand because that contains the salt content. So once it reacts with the water or moisture content, which is going to damage that entire concrete structures. Yeah, so for that reason always we try to avoid the ingredients which should contain the salts in its structure, right? And then it should be well graded such that it should contain the particles of various sizes in suitable proportions. It's not like the aggregates, it should be of a same size or same shape. So it should be irregular in its shape such that those irregularity in this volume, that is going to give the proper bonding after the proper compaction, right? And even we should not use only 20 down aggregate or 16 down aggregate. Even we can use the mixed part of the aggregates like 12 some portions, 16 some portions, and then 12.5 some portions, so that when you have used the inequality sizes of the aggregates, that is going to give the proper bonding in its structure. So that is going to give the well graded meaning. Well graded in the sense we should use all the types of aggregates with respect to shape as well as the size. And then these aggregates that provides around 75% of the body of the concrete. So major part which is going to consume by this aggregates itself. So we need to concentrate more on this major part, like the coarse aggregate as well as the fine aggregate. So how it should be, what about the properties of these ingredients, and which aggregates we need to consider. So we need to concentrate more on these aspects, especially the coarse aggregate part. Yeah. And then they should therefore meet certain requirements if concrete is to be workable, strong, durable, as well as the economical. So we need to choose the aggregates in a such a way that it should confirm all these properties. Like once we use the aggregate, it should be workable, it should be strong enough to take all the loads, and then the durable with respect to the lifespan of the concrete, and even with respect to cost, it should be economical. Means we need to choose the aggregates which are nearly available, means easily available, or else even we can call it as locally available, so that the transportation cost which is going to reduce the cost of those materials. Clear? And then the aggregate must be of proper shape, either which is rounded or approximately cubical. Clear? So that these cubical structural aggregates, they are going to give the proper bonding between in its structures. And then it should be clean, hard, strong, and well graded, and even it should possess some chemical stability, and in many cases exhibit abrasion resistance and resistance to freezing and thawing. So it's nothing but what it should possesses chemical stability, means when it is reacts with the chemicals which are present in the environment, like when it is going to takes place with the acid rain and all, right? And in some cases which is going to absorb the chemicals which are present in the environment. Basically the concrete consists some moisture content, right? So that is going to absorb some chemicals and some other ingredients which are harmful, that time which is going to affect the entire building here or entire concrete portion. So it should be strong enough to resist those all aspects. And then resistance to freezing and thawing. So this freezing and thawing, that means what? In cold countries and all, the concrete structures will be there. For example, you can take this is the concrete structures, and here which is made by this aggregate sand cement portion like that and all, right? Suppose certain gaps if you may form, you may get in between these structures, this gap. So that time what it happens, that moisture will come and place at this part, where here that moisture molecules will come and place at this part. But when it turns to the, when the temperature will reduces here, for example when the moisture content will takes place, it will be around 5 degrees Celsius, clear? But when this temperature decreases to the minus 10 as well as minus 15, so that time what it happens, this water droplet it turns to ice, correct? So that time what it happens, this is going to push the neighboring concrete part, and whatever the cracks will get from here, so that one it will get enlarged by this freezing as well as the thawing action. Yeah. So what is freezing and thawing? I have given you the better example, and you have seen in so many water bottles or cool drinks bottles also, right? What it happens, if it is completely 1 liter of capacity, they are going to fill it here, or that what size of that bottle will be more than 1 liter capacity, because whatever the volume of water will be there with respect to volume of ice, it will be less. So when it water this turns to ice, what it happens, which is going to take the additional volume compared to this water. Yeah, so here also what it happens, that water droplets when it turns to ice, that volume it will get changes. Clear? So when it is stick into this crack part, what it happens, it will get expands, and then this concrete portion or whatever the size of the crack, it will get enlarged. That is because of this freezing as well as the thawing action. And here the study of aggregates, it can be best be done under the following subheadings. Means you can consider various properties here with respect to the classification, with respect to source of availability, and then size, shape, and then texture, strength of the material, specific gravity as well as the bulk density, and even moisture content, right? So that these all factors will matters a lot, and followed by this bulking factor, cleanliness, soundness, chemical properties, thermal properties, durability, even lesses, and at last grading. So here it can be described in various aspects. So we need to consider these all parameters while selection of the coarse aggregate in the construction. Yeah. So basically, you know these all concepts, classifications, that is classified as normal weight aggregates, lightweight aggregates, and then heavyweight aggregates. Depends upon the weight of the volume. We have divided in various aspects. And in normal weight, it can be further classified as natural aggregates and then artificial aggregates. So that gives the meaning of what natural aggregates are nothing but what it is available naturally. So no additional work can be required to make this one as the availability material. So which is basically available in the nature, like sand, gravel, granite, basalt, as well as the sandstone. These all are available on the earth naturally. Yeah. And then artificial in the sense will bring that one as per our requirement. For example, this broken brick. So this broken brick which will comes after the construction and demolition waste. Else whatever the waste product it will get generated in the manufacturing process of this brick. That one also we can consider as coarse aggregate. So but it is prepared one, manufactured one, not naturally available, like broken brick. And even you can see this air cooled slag. So basically this one it will get extract after the industrial processes, right? It's like a byproduct from the different industries. And then bloated clay. In this bloated clay, they are going to make that one to the required shape, so that in some cases they can be used as the part of coarse aggregate. And then the sintered fly ash, whatever the fly ash it will get generate from thermal power plant. So that one they will make that one as per the required size as the coarse aggregate, and then they can use that one as artificial aggregate. And then here this aggregates with respect to weight also they have decided here. Normal weight in the sense basically what we are going to use in our daily construction life. Lightweight in the sense you can see pumice and all, so they are less in its weight, and when we require lightweight structures, that time we can use such aggregates. And heavyweight aggregates means where we require large strength, so that whatever the load it will get developed on the top structures, it can be taken by these heavyweight aggregates. Yeah, and then source. The next parameters is source. That is almost all natural aggregate materials. They are originate from bedrocks, means which are available below the earth. Yeah, and these are three kinds of rocks, namely igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. So this one you have already studied in geology subject, and even the classifications, how they have done the classifications based on the mode of formation of the rocks. They are divided in various aspects like igneous rocks, and then sedimentary as well as metamorphic rocks. So no need to give the elaboration again with respect to these parts. Clear? So the concrete making properties of aggregates which are influenced to some extent on the basis of geological formation of the parent rocks, which are together with the subsequent processes of weathering as well as the alteration. So alteration, that is with respect to the shape as well as the size, and again with respect to weathering conditions also we need to choose, because as you all know that directly we cannot use the aggregates once we extract it from the earth's surface. It should be seasonally treated so that with respect to all the seasons, it should be strong enough to take all the environmental aspects, like with respect to temperature, with respect to rain, correct? So it should be seasonally treated so that we can use it in a better way. And then with respect to size, how exactly we need to select the size. So here the largest maximum size of the aggregate that is practicable to handle under a given set of conditions, it should be used. Means what? Here different sizes of the coarse aggregates are available, or they are to be manufactured as per the required shape as well as the size. So the maximum size of the aggregate what we can use in the construction, that is with 80 mm, right? So later this 80 mm, gradually we can divide that one as per the requirement. We can use 63 mm coarse aggregate, we can use 50 mm coarse aggregate, like we can use 40 mm. These all are the standard size, not the random numbers. They are the standard size. Okay, again 31.5, 25, 20, 16, 12.5, 10. So like that, they are with the standard size. So as per these standard sizes, the designs will get this size. Clear? So as per the applications, we can use different size of the aggregates. And then what it happens when you have used the maximum size of the aggregates and how it is gives the results in its after the construction. So once you used the large possible maximum size, that is going to result in reduction of the cement content. When you have used the larger size of the aggregates, that results in the consumption of the cement content, because here surface area will be very less. Think that this is 80 mm aggregate. Clear? And then think that this is 40 mm aggregate. So here the surface area it will be more here in 40 mm compared to 80 mm, because in one particular volume when you have placed the 40 mm aggregates, and in one particular volume portion if you have placed 80 aggregates. Clear? So this is where you have used smaller particles that will be having more surface area, right? So that time here the surface area has to be covered with various other ingredients like fine aggregate as well as the cement. So when you have used large size of the aggregate, the consumption of this ingredients like cement as well as the fine aggregate will be less in this larger size of the aggregates compared to smaller size. Clear? And then the reduction in water requirement, because here even the water absorption capacity and usage of the water it will be reduced when you have used coarse size of the aggregates than the lesser than that fine aggregates. Okay, and then reduction of the drying shrinkage. So due to the changes in temperature or variations in the environmental aspects, or with respect to the changes in its temperature, whatever the changes it will get happens in the concrete, that can be avoided by this large size of the coarse aggregates. And then the shape of the aggregate, which is an important characteristics, because we need to choose it carefully such that we should have better interlocking property between the coarse aggregates. It's not like you need to use only cubical aggregates. It's not like you need to use only flaky materials. It's not like you need to use only angular materials. Clear? The aggregates which should be of all the shapes as well as the size, so that it should give the better interlocking property between each other part. And then so not only these characteristics of the parent rock, this shape and all whatever it will get depends. That is not only that depends upon the parent rock, which it can be seen during the extractions of the hard rocks, but also that is depends upon the type of crusher, which type of crusher you can use to crush these aggregates. So that is going to give the property of shape with respect to the aggregates. And then from the standpoint of economy in cement requirement for a given water cement ratio, these rounded particles are preferably to the angular aggregates. Means here whatever the water cement ratio it will get depends. So that one again it will get vary with respect to the different shape of the aggregates. So when you have used the rounded aggregates, here water cement ratio it will be required in less, because here it should be rounded so that easily it can be workable, so that additional percentage of water which is not required here. Clear? So compared to the angular aggregates, the rounded particles require less water cement ratio. In other hand, you can see the additional of cement that is required for angular aggregate, that is disadvantage to some extent. So here the angular aggregates basically it requires more workable, so it requires more water as well as more cement. So in some cases, what it happens when you have used only the angular aggregates, might be you can use cement as well as water with the proper proportions, but you won't get the proper strength between those angular aggregates. Again, you need the other fine aggregate parts just to fill that gap portion, so that it should give the maximum strength between the structures. Here you can see with respect to the Indian Standard Code books how exactly that shape of the particle it should be. So suppose if it is rounded, it is fully waterborne or completely shaped by the attrition. It's like what, for example, you can consider the aggregates which are available nearby seashore gravels and even which are available river. Basically, we need to avoid the fine aggregate parts of the seashore, but which are available in the seashore with respect to the coarse aggregate. That one we can treat chemically and then we can use that one in the constructions. And then irregular or partly rounded. So irregular in the sense it won't have any proper shape for this. Irregular in the sense that structures and all it will be like irregular in its structures, so that they are naturally irregular or partly shaped by the attrition that is having rounded edges. So these rounded edges of the aggregates it won't have the proper bonding between the aggregates. Yeah, so that time we need to use some other like angular as well as the flaky. So they should have all these types of aggregates in the structure, so that it should give the better bonding between each other. And then angular in the sense it should be having the well defined edges will be there at the end of the structure, so that at the intersection it is going to take place a major role, right? Intersection in the sense the bonding between the other ingredients. And then flaky, even the aggregate it should be with the flaky in its structures, like the material usually angular of which the thickness is smaller relative to the width or length. So for this you'll be having certain tests to conduct flaky as well as elongated materials. So flaky, that is purely with respect to the thickness of the aggregates. Clear how much thickness it should be, so that it will give the bonding with respect to the thickness of the aggregates. Clear? And here you can see the round or spherical concrete aggregates, and even the flaky materials or flaky concrete aggregates, and then the crushed concrete aggregates. Basically, we'll be using these types of the aggregates in the concrete, like the crushed concrete aggregates. And this flaky and other rounded particles, they are rarely used. But as per the Indian Standard Codebook suggestions, they should have well-graded aggregates in the concrete structure, so that they can give the better interlocking property between that. And here we'll be having certain tests for the determination of flakiness index. Clear? So that comes under in shape test. This is most important. We will explain this procedure now. Okay. First, what you need to do? First, you need to arrange the sieve sizes in this way. Listen carefully. It starts from 63 to 6.3. Including this, you need to arrange the sieve sizes. 63, 50, 40, 31.5, 25, 20, 16, 12.5, 10, and then 6.3. In C1 analysis, might be you have done that experiment in third semester BMT lab. You need to place a required amount of coarse aggregate. I mean, you are going to take the known quantities of the aggregate like 1 kg, 5 kg, 2 kg, like that. Correct? In sieve analysis. But here you need to take the random aggregates in this. I mean, you don't have known quantities of the aggregates. Only the thing is, whatever the aggregates it will get retained in this particular sieve size. There it matters a lot. Clear? So then the further procedure will get decides. Clear? So here, okay. What you need to do, you need to take the aggregates randomly within this sieve sizes, which is arranged from 63 to 6.3. Clear? The aggregates, listen carefully, aggregates which are passed from this 63 and which are retained in 50 mm. So here you need to collect around 200 number of particles. Approximately, you need to consider 200 number of particles. Clear? So that 200 number of particles you are going to consider as capital W. Understand? The aggregates which are passing from 63 and which are retained in 50. You are going to collect around 200 numbers and not 200 grams. Approximately, you need to consider 200 number of particles. That particles weight you are going to consider as capital W. Now, these are the aggregates which are used for testing purpose. Yeah. So these 200 particles, what we need to do? We need to check this thickness gauge. Leave about this column as well as this column. I will explain what it is. Clear? So this is the thickness gauge. Clear? This instrument, we can call it as thickness gauge. You can see the numbers here, which is 63 passing, 50 retained, 50 passing, 40 retained, 40 passing, 25, like that. All the sieve sizes, whatever they have given in this table. Excuse. Now, the aggregates which are passing from 63 and which are retained in 50, you have collected around 200 particles. That 200 particles you have considered as capital W. Now, these 200 particles you goes on passing in this particular portion, which is mentioned here, 63 passing, 50 retained. Those 200 particles aggregates, you need to pass in this hole, which is mentioned with 63 and 50. So here some aggregates will get passes and some aggregates will get retained. In out of 200 particles, think that around 20 particles will get pass and 180 particles will get retained. Clear? Those 20 particles weight again you need to consider as small w. Clear? So capital W's weight you have noted down here, that is total 200 particles weight. Clear? And then small w is these 200 particles you are going to pass in this hole, and some aggregate will get passed and some aggregate will get retained. That passing materials weight will be small w. Clear? They have mentioned as small w. And like that, next usage you need to consider. Again, the aggregates which are passing from 50 and which are retained in 40, which is passed from 50 and which are retained in 40. Again, you need to collect around 200 particles, or how much it is available, that much you can consider. And that 200 particles weight, again, you are noting down just below this. Else, here you can make on separate column, right? So this is capital W and this is small w you can consider here. So capital W's weight, you are going to write it here and then, yes, somebody texted. Yes, Siddharth, please. You want to ask something? Sampath Kumar. Just unmute and you can speak, Baba. So raise the hand. Some doubts are there, you can raise your hands. Yes, Sampath. Sampath, you can unmute and you can speak. Yes. Can you hear me, Sampath? Okay, please. I'm not audible from your side. Sampath?
Sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Sampath, please tell me.
By mistake it came, sir.
Yeah,
Word.
yeah. Okay, no problem, no problem. Yes. Okay, here I'm going to make one more column, that is small w. Okay, this is capital W and this is small w. So here this capital W, how you will write the aggregates which are passing from 63, which are retained in 50, that is of 200 particles. That 200 particles weight you are noting down here. Clear? And now these 200 particles we are passing in this respective holes. This respective holes given the names with 63 mm passing and 50 mm retained. So some aggregates will get passed, some aggregates will get retained. That passing materials weight you are going to write in front of this. Like that, 50 mm passing, 40 mm retained. This 200 particles weight, that one you are mentioning here. Clear? And then these aggregates which are retained in 40, aggregates which are passing through 50 and which are retained in 40. Now those aggregates you are passing here in this portion. So the aggregates which are passing from this portion we are writing down here. Clear? Like that we'll go with all the CU sizes here. For example, 31.5 mm passing, 25 mm retained, 200 particles weight. That one I am writing here, and that one I am going to pass. Where here it is? Okay, here it is 31.5 and 25. I'm passing through in this portion. So some aggregates again it will get passes and some aggregates will get retained. Here in flakiness index part, we need to collect the passing materials from thickness gauge. So this instrument name is thickness gauge it is. And one more it will come, that is length gauge. Here it is. So this is length gauge. Do not get confused. So through this, we are going to find out elongation index. Clear? And through this, we are going to find out the flakiness index. And this for flakiness index, we are using a thickness gauge. Clear? But here for elongation index, we are going to use length gauge. Do not get confused. This is length gauge and this is thickness gauge. So for flakiness index, we are using thickness gauge. It will be in a plate-like structures. Clear? So after this, what we need to do? We need to do the summation of all these capital W's. Summation of capital W and then this is summation of small w. So how you are going to find out flakiness index? So flakiness index you are going to find out by using the formula summation of small w divided by summation of capital W multiplied by 100. So this is in terms of percentage. Clear? Summation of small w will be at the numerator part and summation of capital W it will be there at the denominator part. Clear? So like this we are going to find out the flakiness index in this formation. Is there any doubt in this test? Somebody having doubts means just you can raise hand, else you can ask by unmuting. Okay. So this is belongs to the thickness gauge. So now whatever we have explained the procedure here, the same thing it has been given. Okay. And next test is elongation index. So here in this elongation index, we'll be having wooden-like structures at the base at this instrument, and then certain poles will be having. So here we need to measure the distance between these poles. Clear? So distance between these poles that is depends upon the CU sizes. So here you can see at the top structure or else in the top plan from one poles to other poles it is given with respect to 50 mm passing and then 40 mm retained. So in the same table, again you need to note down 50 mm passing, 40 mm retained. You need to collect 200 particles. The procedure will remain same. Only the thing is the instrument it will get changes and at last some procedure part also it will get changes. So listen carefully. So here also you need to arrange the sieves from 63 to 6.3. Correct. So again you are going to pour the aggregates so that you will get in every sieve set some part. Clear? So now you need to collect the aggregates which are passing from 50 and which are retained in 40. You need to collect 200 particles. So that 200 particles weight you are going to consider as capital W and that one you need to pass between these two poles like as per the lengthwise. So aggregates, it will be like this. Think that this is the aggregate, you need to pass as per the lengthwise. The maximum length where you will get, no, from that portion you need to pass within these holes, right? Or else these particular portions from these poles. Okay. So might be if you have placed in this part, easily it will get passes. So here the aggregates you have to retain it so that you will come to know the exact percentage of elongated material. Clear? So here some aggregates will get passes and some aggregates will get retained. There in thickness gauge, you have used the passing materials from the thickness gauge. Only the thing is here you need to use retained particles, right? So here some aggregates will get passes, some aggregates will get retained. You need to collect the retained particles from this thickness gauge, and that one you are noting down as small w. That is the only changes between this. One thing is the instrument it will get changes, and then on other hand the passing materials you are going to collect in thickness gauge, and then in length gauge you need to collect the retained particles. So again that retained particles you need to goes on considering as per the sieve size. Next you need to go with 40 mm passing, 25 mm retained. Here also you will collect 200 particles. Clear? That 200 particles you are noting down as capital W, and these 200 particles you goes on passing from these two poles, and some aggregate will get passes, some aggregate will get retained. You need to collect again the retained particles. That retained particles you are noting down as small w. Like that you goes on, you will be noting down with all the respective sieve sizes how you have arranged, and then at last again the formula will be same, that is summation of small w divided by summation of capital W multiplied by 100. Yeah. So through that you can note down the results of this elongation index as well as the flakiness index. So depends upon this. Once you have checked, clear, you got the results. How you need to decide whether it is suitable for the constructions or not. Yeah. So for that certain limitations they have given, like this combined index is nothing but what? Depends upon this combined index we can decide. Combined index is like summation of flakiness index as well as elongation index. Yeah. So that one it should not crosses more than 30%. That combined index, if it is more than 30%, then it is not permissible for the construction work. So after the results, what you need to do, you need to check the combined index property of the coarse aggregate, and then it should not be more than 30%. So combined index means summation of flakiness index as well as elongation index. Clear? So that it should not reaches more than 30%. And then with respect to strength, the strength of the rock that does not exactly represent the strength of the aggregate in the concrete. It's not like if the strength of aggregate is good and the concrete strength will be higher as per that. In some cases, the even the proportions of other ingredients as per the proper proportions is also required. So this concrete is an assemblage of individual pieces of aggregates which are bound together by cementing materials. We need to use even the proper proportions of the cement, sand, water as well as the coarse aggregate. So then only that proper proportions that leads with a good strength. Clear? And then this strength which is purely dependent upon the bond between the cement paste as well as the aggregate. So you need to select the cement paste in a such a way that it should give the proper bonding strength between the aggregates. Clear? So if cement is with a pure, which is not pure and which consisting of improper materials within the structures, it won't give the proper bonding between the aggregates. So that time at the initial part might be as a part of layer, it will act on the coarse aggregate, and after some duration or after some days of after some days the top layer it will comes out, so only the aggregates will get retained. So that is because of improper usage in the cement part which is not properly manufactured. Yeah. So that is going to give the lot more distinguish between the good quality of the cement as well as the bad quality of the cement. So but when the cement paste of a good quality which is provided, and its bond with the aggregate is satisfactory, then the mechanical property of the rock or coarse aggregate, that is influences the strength of aggregate. So the strength of aggregate, which is purely depends upon the bonding strength of the cement paste. So cement, it is of good quality, which is having better bonding properties in its structures. So that is going to give the more strength for the concrete. Okay. The test for strength of the concrete which is required to be made in the following situation. First thing is the production of high strength as well as the ultra high strength concrete, means basically we are going to get the concrete strength between 25 to 30 Newton per mm square. But here, when we used to get the high strength concrete, it is like more than 200 MPa or 200 Newton per mm square. So that time we need to check even the strength of the aggregate. We need to check the different strength on these aggregates. Okay. So when is contemplating to use the aggregates which are manufactured from the weathered rocks, that rocks should be seasonally treated so that it can consider with respect to the durability part, right? So then it is influencing with the proper strength. So here the aggregate manufactured by industrial processes, that also, there also we need to consider the strength of these aspects. Then if it is available with a permissible strength, then only we can achieve, I mean, then only we can use that one in the construction field. And here the aggregate crushing value. So in this aggregate crushing value, it is also a strength test. Through this, we'll come to know the strength of the coarse aggregate by crushing that one to the required part. Okay, so here I will make another one slide so that I can explain with the procedure part. Okay, wait for a while. So this slide is visible now, right? And somebody repeat please. The slide is visible now.
No, sir.
This blue color instruments.
Now it is visible, sir.
Okay, now it's visible. Huh? Fine. So these are the apparatus which are in need of to conduct this crushing value test. So here in this crushing value, we are going to get this crushing value in terms of percentage. So to find out this crushing value, we need certain apparatus. So this apparatus name, we can call it as measuring cylinder. Experiment is very simple. Just you need to understand by taking this diagram in your mind. So this is measuring cylinder, and then this is cylinder with base plate, clear? And then this is plunger. This instrument name we can call it as plunger, and then this is tamping rod having dimension 600 mm in its length, and then diameter will be 16 mm, 1.6 centimeter. Clear? So now what we need to do, we need to take the aggregates for this test which are passing from 12.5 mm and then which are retained in 10 mm. So first we need to consider the aggregates which are passing in this sieve size. Clear? So this is receive set. Think that this is receive set. So aggregates which are passing from 12.5 and which are retained in 10 mm. So these aggregates we need to fill in this measuring cylinder. Clear? So we need to fill in this measuring cylinder in 3 layers or in 4 layers. Each layer is stamped by 25 times. Clear? So before this we need to consider W1, that is empty weight of the measuring cylinder. Clear? That one you need to note down. After that you need to fill the aggregates in 3 layers. Those aggregates you need to select from these few sets passing from 12.5 and retained in 10 mm. Clear? The aggregates which are retained in 10 mm, that one you need to fill in 3 layers. Each layer is stamped by 25 times. Again, you need to take the weight of this consisting of measuring cylinder plus aggregates. Clear? So once you measure this entire aggregates you need to place in this cylinder which consisting of this base plate. Clear? So you need to place these aggregates in this, approximately it will come here. Clear? So now on top of that you need to place this plunger. Clear? So this plunger you need to place here. Clear? It will be in this shape. Okay, like this it will be fits here. Clear? Like this it is going to fit it here. Okay. So now what you need to do, this entire setup which consisting of base plate with cylinder and then the aggregates which are present here and then on top of this plunger you have placed, this entire setup you need to place it in CTM machine, right? Compression testing machine which is there in your BMT lab, right? You have conducted so many tests on that, compression strength of brick, wooden cube, right? So in that testing machine we need to keep this entire setup over there. Okay, so now that CT, through that CTM machine we goes on applying the load. So how much we need to apply the load? Total 40 tons. How much? It is 40 tons. So total 40 tons of the load we need to apply on this entire setup which is placed in CTM machine. So this 40 tons, how they are going to give? 4 tons for every minute. So for every minute they are going to provide with 4 tons. So like that for a period of 10 minutes which is going to complete with this 40 tons, right? So this is the rate of loading. Clear? So total we need to apply 40 tons on this entire setup, so that what it is going to happen once if you placed here this entire 40 tons you are going to apply. So through this 40 tons this aggregates will get crushed. So the main reason to use this plunger is whatever the load you are going to apply on this top of the plunger, which is going to provide equally on these aggregates. Here, once you place the load on this through this flat surface, which is going to apply equally that entire 40 tons of the loads to the aggregate. Clear? So that's the main reason to use this plunger, the application of using this plunger. Okay, so after applying 40 tons of the load, the aggregates will get crushed. Clear? You will take that one in a particular tray. These crushed particles you will take down in a particular tray, and now you will use 2.36 mm ISC. Which one? 2.36 mm ISC. Okay, ISC in the sense Indian Standard Sieves. Okay. So here you are going to place that all the crushed particles in this 2.36. Clear? So some aggregates will get pass and some aggregates will get retained. So retained particles weight you need to consider as W3. Where here we'll write this is W3. You will note down W1, W2 and then W3. W1 empty weight of the measuring cylinder. W2 after placing the aggregates which are passing from 12.5 mm and retained in 10 mm. That weight is considered as W2. And then W3 is the crushed part of the aggregates which are retained in 2.36 mm ISC. Okay, you have noted down all these three values. Clear? So now the crushing value which is given with respect to the formula, that is W3 divided by W2 minus W1 into 100. So this is again in terms of percentage it will come. Clear? So with respect to percentage it will come. So always you need to remember while writing these formulas how we are going to write. Just understand the basic concept behind this writing the formula. Yeah, let it be the notation whatever it is, capital W, small w, w1, w2, only w, but you need to understand what exactly in the numerator will come and what exactly in the denominator it comes here. So here always in the numerator the crust part will comes, right? So after considering the original weight of the aggregate, after testing whatever the crust part will be there, or else after conducting any results whatever the available materials will be there, crust part what we can see. So here that one we are going to write in numerator. Clear? I mean at this top portion. Clear? So you can consider here W3 is how we have considered the aggregates which are retained in 2.36 mm ISF, right? So the passing materials we have left, and then here retained particles. Sorry. Here you need to collect the passing materials, not retained particles, because the passing materials are considered as the crushed particles. Please make the correction. So here the aggregates which are passing from 2.36 mm ISU, that one it is considered as the crushed particles. So that crushed particles weight we have considered as W3. Okay. The aggregates which are passing from 2.36 mmc, that passing materials weight it is considered as W3. Okay. So these are considered as the crushed particles. That one I have noted down in numerator part. Clear? And then here W2 minus W1. So W2 minus W1, what it is going to give? W2 is nothing but what? The aggregates which are filled in this measuring cylinder, right? It means what? Measuring cylinder plus cylinder. Measuring cylinder plus the aggregates. Clear? So in that I am going to deduct the W1. Means what? Empty weight of the measuring cylinder I am going to deduct. What exactly it is going to give? Only weight of the aggregate. Clear? That is the original weight of the aggregate which are used for the testing purpose. That weight is considered as denominator. In the denominator, what we need to write? Original weight of the aggregate. And then in the numerator, after the test, whatever the crust part will be there, that one I am going to write in the numerator. Yeah. So numerator, crust particles, denominator, original weight of the aggregate. Suppose think that the notations it may get changed. For example, here you are not going to take this W1, W2, W3 left apart. Here, whatever the aggregates you are going to fill here, only that weight I am noting down as W1. Clear? Directly I am going to take the total weight of the aggregates which are present in this. And now the aggregates which are passing from this 2.36 mm ISU. Clear? That passing materials weight I am writing as W2. Now the formula will get changes. It won't come in this way because we have changed, that is W2 divided by W1 into 100. But the meaning will remain same, right? W2 is nothing but what? The aggregates which are passing from this 2.36 mmc. W1 in the sense original weight of the aggregate which is present in this cylinder. Yeah. So that's the reason how we are going to write the formulas. Yeah. So once you get this crushing value, you need to compare that one. So depends upon the various formations. Clear? You can consider this. So here the crushing value it should not be more than 30%. If it is more than 30%, then we need to reject that aggregate samples. Clear? Because they are not fit for the constructions. Understand? So this is how we are going to conduct this crushing value test. So the same procedure they have noted down in this part. Clear? Generally they are going to take the aggregates 12.5 and 10 mm ISC. Here the same thing they have considered here. Clear? Understood this procedure? If anybody is having the doubt, you can raise hand or else you can ask the questions. Everybody understood? Or shall I repeat? Can I repeat once again? At least say yes or no so that I can move ahead. It's understood? This procedure is understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Others? If you are having doubts, just you can raise the hand. Yes. Thank you. Okay. We'll wind up for today's class. Just place your name and USN in the chat box. Further, we'll continue in the next class.